All right, so we're going to get started here with 1.1. Um, very basic information, but very important information as we move forward here. You'll see and notice that statistics has a lot of vocabulary in it. We use the vocabulary to define the math that we are finding. So this section is really about a couple of new vocabulary words and then turning that vocabulary into math numerical sense. So we're going to start off with the science and art of data. And as you can see, the first objective here is to classify the variables as categorical or quantitative. And categorical and quantitative are two big things that we're going to look at, and they should hopefully make sense. But when we go through this, we're going to be collecting, analyzing, drawing conclusions from data. Okay. And our problem solving process is ask questions and make sure it's a valid statistical question. Collect the data, analyze the data, and interpret it. So the math and the number sense comes from all of this collecting data and analyzing it. And then we use these definitions to interpret the data, to ask our questions and interpret the data. So here's the first part of variables as categorical or quantitative. Categorical variables assign labels that place individuals into particular groups. So it's going to put them into groups as opposed to actually having a number value. A quantitative variable will take number values, okay? So we can find average, and usually that comes in units, whether it's miles, feet, inches, something like that. Now, not every number is quantitative. We can have a number such as a area code or a zip code, which would group people from a certain area. It doesn't necessarily give them a numerical value. Okay, so when we have an example here, says the American Statistical Association sponsors a web-based project that collects data about primary and secondary school students using surveys. We use the site's random sampler to choose 40 high school students, so this is a random survey, who completed the survey in a recent year. The table displays data for the first few students chosen. The rightmost column gives the students answers to the questions. Classify each variable as categorical or quantitative. So we have categorical, okay, and we have quantitative. So the very first section here is state. Okay, is state quantitative? Is that a numeric value? No, that places them into a category. Okay, grade level. Even though they are numbers, I could also call this senior, freshman, senior, right? So grade level would also be categorical. Gender for this specific thing would be categorical. Age is a number, so we would have age. Okay, and if you want to put the units, it can help define that. So we're talking about age in years. Birth month would be categorical. Height is quantitative, and that's in centimeters. Arm span, also quantitative, and that's in centimeters. And then the last one, preferred status, would be categorical. Okay, so these are the different sections that we could break this up into, whether it's quantitative or categorical. And with categorical, we can count the number from each category, but quantitative allows us to find different measures of average and certain things like that with the units. So the second objective is to summarize the distribution of a variable with a relative frequency table. So a distribution tells what values the variable takes and how often. So we're going to be counting how often a certain distribution happens throughout a set of data. So relative frequency table shows the proportion, percent of individuals having each data value. Okay, so it's a percent, but it's usually given as a decimal. Okay, a decimal that will be less than 1. So would you rather be rich or happy? Okay, so here's the data on the preferred status of 40 students in the same sample from the previous example. Summarize the distribution of preferred status with relative frequency. So what are the different types of status a student could have? We could have famous. We can have healthy. We can have happy. We can have rich. I think that's the 3 of them, right? Or 4 of them. You want to either be famous, you can be healthy, you can happy, be rich. And in these 40 students, I want to know how many want to be famous. Well, famous would be 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So famous would have 7 students of the 40 that want to be famous, that said they would want to be healthy or famous. How many would be healthy? And again, make sure that we count these correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 would like to be healthy. Happy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Say they want to be happy. And the last one is rich. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure I counted correctly here. Okay, so how can I make sure that I counted correctly? Well, there are 40 total students here, correct? So there are 40 total students. So I need to make sure that I add up to 40. And I've got 7 plus 4 is 11. 11 plus 21 is 32. 32 plus 8 is 40. So again, this whole thing has to equal 40. Now, to get the relative frequency, we are going to take the number that we got and we're going to divide that by 40. So get the calculator out. Come on now. There we go. So we got the calculator. We're going to take 7 divided by 40. And I would get 0.175. As the frequency. And again, how am I getting that? I'm doing 7 over 40 equals 0.175. Here would be 4 over 40, which equals 0.1. This would be 21 over 40, which equals 0.525. And this would be 8 over 40, which is 0.2. Now, when I add up all of these decimals, they should add up to the number 1. Okay, and if you added all those up, they would add up to the number 1. So you're going to have a few examples in Edulastic where you have to find the frequency, and we're going to be plugging it into using the calculator. There's a few apps that I'm kind of getting familiar with. As I get familiar with them, I'll show you how to use them and how for you to put them into your Chromebooks that will basically do the math for you so you don't have to get a calculator out. But the key to these problems is making sure that, 1, you add them all up correct. You somehow organize the data so that you can keep track of that, and that will allow you to make sure that there's no human error. Okay, so we're going to have an exam. Assignment in Edulastic. That's only, I think, 3 questions, but this will get us started here.